Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back to actually revisit the announcement as of yesterday, being the official introduction here of Spotlight raids coming into the game. This was an announcement in terms of just them segueing finally. This is the next level of progression for raids, but more specifically, guys, obviously we saw already with the preview that this is going to feature new teams that are coming to the game, almost kind of the same way as a showcase event where, they're trying to introduce and get folks to purchase and, invest in these teams. But how you do that is by obviously giving that agency to players to try out. And then at the end of the day, they can make that decision. Now, I have no issues whatsoever with the introduction of a new raid specifically featuring these specific teams, because at the end of the day, I understand it's a business. They obviously want to be promoting the newer teams, and at the end of the day, making them required, so that way there is going to be an avenue for us. Like for me personally, this is another avenue to actually achieve T4 materials. Could be very, very game changing in terms of the team synergy, and some characters only work with these T4 abilities being fully upgraded, right? So that, I think, is a big, big step in the right direction. Now, my issue actually with this announcement, why I think it's going to be more broader and impacting the general free-to-play community and even more casual players as a whole, is the fact that with the introduction of this new raid, it's replacing also an avenue or resource that we previously utilized before, being the Greek raids, right? Like, although alpha, beta, and gamma raids, weren't exactly engaging content, every day when we're doing it, we're amassing on resources, whether that's the materials, the credits, even just character shards. I think that's a big plus. I think they do need to revisit this and go back and say, instead of replacing Greek raids, it can be in addition to that, because most of us already just go through and sim the actual raid nodes for these specific Greek raids anyway. So it's not really a loss on their point, right? Leaving these could be a potential solution, just to make sure that this avenue of resources is still coming to the game. Because although it's not meaningful for the end game players, I think it's very meaningful when you're starting off in the game, or even positioning yourself better in the mid game and getting towards that end game where you are building some of those higher tier characters. Well, that was an avenue that we can actually explore and take advantage of, right? Because it was so easy, and it only takes a few minutes, especially when you can sim through everything once you have the rosters that are built up the way they are. Now, the big miss point, I think, as well, is although it does, I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about it, I was super excited, because this is the thing, right? I'm an endgame player, and for me, I thrive on new content. I thrive on engaging content. It's different, to switch things up, but I also understand that how I play and how engaged I am is not the same as other people. It's not the same even as the majority of folks that play this game casually. So we all know that with raids, they're daily, right? You're doing them every single day, and they're doing the switch up where they are trying to say goodbye to the 3x8, which is 3 strike teams of 8 players each, and introducing 4 strike teams of 6 players each. Although it sounds, grand and all, and the fact that we're switching things up is actually kind of exciting for myself personally, we also have to take a step back and analyze that at the end of the day, this actually does mean more player engagement. They want alliances to be more active as a result of this. And this is, goes back to a video I made before already on how they messed up the progression and unlock of Iron Patriot, and you couldn't use him obviously in the showcase event because most of us were, less than 5 shards away from unlocking to use him. What did they do? They decided to give us more character shards for Iron Patriot, but it didn't solve the underlying issue at hand, which is that the real concerning problem was that the Scopely and developers missed their mark as fellow gamers. If they have players as employees there, they should understand that the issue wasn't getting Iron Patriot as an unlock. It was getting his unlock before the showcase event ended, so that we as players and the community could take advantage of resources that we're trying to build towards, especially the first time rewards, because we know with the events like that, they're not coming back. And that's kind of my concern here, is that did they float this idea by the envoys? Did they float this idea through the player voice movement and and how their committee is actually situated? Because at the end of the day, this creates a more engaged community, but it's actually terrible for casual alliances and alliances that just aren't as serious into doing raids every day. Especially now that they've confirmed, essentially, that this is going to be another avenue for T4 materials. It's going to be another avenue for Crimson Gear. Well, guess what? You're going to be doing, each of these, specific new raids as a team of 6. And guess what? You're only with one other alliance mate now in your lane. So that means that if you're stuck with someone that's not even playing the game or inactive, well, good luck trying to get all the way to the very final boss node that you're expecting to be doing, because at the end of the day now, the onus is now more on the player and accountability for players that are inactive. What I don't like about this 4x6 as well is maybe they change the reward system so it's not like, 100% completion. If they made it more like 80-90%, I think that's going to be definitely a step in the right direction. But by doing this now, you have 24 players that need to be more engaged, and you have 4 different teams now where essentially if you're not accountable to your other lane mate, there's going to be tension arising. I think that's going to be the big thing. It's going to create the one thing that's not discussed at all is toxicity, right? It's going to create more toxicity and animosity between certain lane mates because, at the end of the day, real life matters. And, doing a raid every single day is not the most important thing to someone's day. Sometimes we have kids going on. Sometimes we have sports. We have other hobbies in our life. So I do think that this is a very, it just shows how the lack of understanding from the developers, they are out of touch with the game and the players. And it's ironic. They keep saying that they have players as employees. Well, I'm calling bullshit because this is a direct nod against that system. You want players to be more engaged in already a daily engaging game mode in the game. And that's terrible. I think, again, this is great news for the top 100 alliances that don't care and spend. But for casual community members or even the top, 2,000 to 5,000 alliances, they're going to suffer as a result of this because there are 100% players that just don't care as much. And at the end of the day, this is a game for them. It's casual. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be a responsibility. It's not meant to be a job, right? So, I don't know. Scopely, I think you got to do better, man. At the end of the day, players are players. They're not your employees. So, we're not expected to be doing your job every single day. Hopefully, they have this huge revision in their system or maybe lower down the rewarding scale because I think it's going to be a terrible way to actually tear alliances apart. Great for engaging content, great for new content, and those that are actually competitive. But at the end of the day, this is going to destroy alliances. And I think that's the miss mark in this message from the blog post. Let me know what you think in the comments below, guys, if you agree or disagree. But at the end of the day, I hope that they make a big revision on this because I don't think it's good news for the free-to-play community and as well the general majority.